Fuel prices have risen by record levels this year. So I want to test some ways of making your car more economical. But while I wait for the parts to arrive, I can't escape the feeling of needing to help motorists now, this second. Barrels of crude oil coming out of the North Sea get taxed by the government. It's a standard practice. But when the cost of the crude oil actually goes up, the government receives more tax. Now, in the last year alone, the cost of a barrel like this has gone through the roof and it's doubled in value, which means that economics experts have calculated the government will be receiving £6 billion worth of windfall tax revenue. Now, that extra $6 billion could easily be used to help the 20 million UK households with cars. It would pay for a very useful 12p a litre cut in the price of fuel. Now, it's no great surprise, but we don't think we're going to get the 12 pence off the fuel from the Treasury. So I've decided to take matters into my own hands, and I have raided the petty cash tin from Fifth Gear. What I'm going to do is refund every single one of these guys here buying fuel with 12 pence on every litre. Excuse me, do you mind if we give you a bit of money towards your fuel, just courtesy of Fifth Gear?
Yeah.
So you bought 22 litres,
yeah.
There's £2.70. That's courtesy of Fifth Gear, so enjoy your day.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. £6, that's for you, towards your fuel. I'm going to give you 50p towards the cost of your fuel.
It's not quite worth it, is it? Thank you anyway.
OK. 70% of people reckon they can't live without a car, so higher fuel prices have a massive effect. No surprise then that our refund scheme was going great guns. Basically, we're giving away free money today. Is that all right with you?
Yeah, sure.
It now costs about £2,000 in fuel alone to run an average car for a year, although it's still not quite as bad as in World War I, when prices hit £9 a gallon. Do you want to know why I'm doing it? No? OK. You happy with that?
Yeah, have you got a toilet? I'll be even happier.
Piff! Look at that, I've given it all away. But don't panic, because it's time now to test those other ways of spending less money on fuel. We're going to find out if it's possible to make an everyday, run-of-the-mill car like this Polo more economical. But before we modify it, we need to work out precisely what MPG it can do in standard form. First, we pumped every last drop out of the tank, which is under the back seat. Next, we poured in exactly 1 gallon, and so no fuel was wasted. We even got a tow to the test track. The test began, changing gear at an economical 2,500 revs and then sitting at a constant 60 miles an hour. Now, lapping this 2-mile bowl should cancel out any wind assistance in one direction. We wanted this to be as scientific as possible so we could repeat the drive exactly once our modifications had been made. OK, the car is now failing. 46.9, can we make 47 on the verge? 46.9 miles from 1 gallon of fuel in this particular standard 1.6 Polo. Now let's see what we get out of it when we do the changes. And we'll start with the rubber. An amazing 20% of a car's economy comes from its tyres. Now, I found this hard to believe when I read it, but apparently 80% of us have the wrong tyre pressure on our cars. And this can cost you a staggering 15% of your fuel economy. So make sure you test your tyre pressure. What we're doing is we're going to put to the test these. These are energy-efficient tyres. They've got more silica in them, and manufacturers claim that they're just that little bit easier to push down the road, and therefore it's going to save you money with their lower roll resistance. Now, another way of saving on fuel is actually by saving on weight. That 90-kilogram fatty you give a lift to work every single morning, he's actually costing you a staggering 4% in your fuel economy. So make sure you say no to him the next time. What we're doing is we're going to lose 12 kilograms, and that weight comes from the combined total of the jack and this useless piece of metal and rubber, the spare tyre, 12 kilos there, replaced by that tyre weld, 200 grams. Well, actually, probably 180 grams now. Our final mod will be to the engine management. Specialist super chips normally make performance cars quicker by reprogramming the engine's brain, but increasingly, they're getting inquiries about boosting fuel economy. They swapped the Polo's original chip for one of theirs with new instructions to advance the ignition. That gives us a bigger bang, so in theory, it'll now take less throttle to do my steady 60 miles per hour. Right, here we go. Judgment Day is upon us. The key in the ignition, same speed, same car, same track, everything exactly. I even got the same clothes on. Nothing has changed at all. Here we go, bye! I drove in exactly the same way and was confident that this time we'd go further. Even the rain didn't put me off. According to our tech guys, a wet surface has less friction, so actually helps your miles per gallon. Except, after 45 miles, the car started spluttering. What are you doing? What are you doing? You've got another 2 miles yet to even just beat the car as standard. What? Despite all our efforts, we had done 46.4 miles. Gutted. Half a mile less than the standard car.
Tim, how much was that chip?
300 quid.
And those tyres?
60 quid each.
Even the can of Tyre World?
A tenner.
So you're telling me
Yep.
that you spent the best part of 550 sheets on making a car do less miles to the gallon? How did that happen?
I have absolutely no idea. I was so concerned. I went to the fifth gear techie guys and I said, guys, what's going on? They said, Tim, do the same thing again. Do it 10 times. It'll be very similar with the results. I think the conclusion is you cannot significantly increase the miles per gallon of your car. The tyres, for example, do you know how many miles you'd have to drive for to cover the cost of just one tyre?
10,000?
Nope, more.
20,000?
More.
25?
28,000 miles. The only good thing, though, is apparently with some of the bigger engine diesel V6s, some of the bigger engines, apparently a chip in them can take it from 30 to 40, which is half decent.
Yeah, well, that's worth having, but there's nothing that you can just get on with. What we're actually saying is that the only way you can significantly increase your miles to gallon is to just drive more smoothly and more gently. That's the only reliable way of doing it.
Well, and also to console yourself that fuel is cheaper than bottled water.
Yeah, that's cold comfort, really, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? Yeah.